Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great Thursday so far, and as well as a great start to your day. And today is January 30th, 2025, and in today's forecast, we are going to be talking about a huge storm that's going to be coming to the United States as we head throughout today and perhaps even into tomorrow, as we are going to continue to see severe storms. We also will even see the potential for even some flooding issues as far north as the lower Ohio Valley, and we could also be seeing some damaging winds, large hail, and maybe even a few tornadoes down there in Louisiana. So we will need to be watching all of that very closely as we head throughout today and as well as into the evening hours today, as a lot of this is definitely looking likely. And then after that, we will be talking about how we could be seeing an early spring as we get into February, and we'll have to see what the groundhog predicts, guys. We'll need to just keep an eye on it and see what the groundhog says. But for my opinion, I think we're going to see an early spring this year as temperatures are going to be warming up dramatically. And even though we could be seeing some cold shots and stuff like that rolling on through, that's still usually what we see in the spring, as that's usually what causes the chances for severe weather. So we will be going over all that, but if you are new here to the YouTube channel, or if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button, as we upload every day on this channel. And we will also try to go live sometime later today, as I do think we could be seeing a few tornadoes. So make sure to also click that notification button so that way you guys don't miss out on it, and I definitely appreciate it. But let's first start off by going over the threats for severe storms for today. And as you guys can see, we do have a marginal level 1 out of 5 threat right around that slight risk. And then embedded in that, we got a slight risk level 2 out of 5 threat across parts there of southeast Texas, pretty good portion there of central and northern Louisiana, and also parts there in Mississippi, as we will likely be seeing some pretty good storms today. And the main concerns for today are going to be the potential for tornadoes. We do have a 5% risk for tornadoes down there in southeast Texas, southern and central Louisiana, back over there in the Mississippi. Same with damaging winds. We could be seeing winds between 60 to 70 miles per hour, and of course we could also be seeing some hail. So we will need to be watching today very closely, as the main concern is looking to be tornadoes and as well as some strong damaging winds. It's just that as we get into tomorrow, we think we don't have a hail threat, but isolated wind and even an isolated tornado could still occur down there in the panhandle of Florida, and as well as the certain parts there of Alabama as we get into tomorrow, which will be for your Friday. So we will need to be watching down there in the deep south closely as we get into Friday. It's just that most of the storm is going to be diminishing before tomorrow, so it's not expected to be as bad. But we will watch this area closely though, as it could still be an area that could maybe get some isolated wind and perhaps even an isolated tornado. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the excessive rainfall outlook. Starting off with today, we do have a pretty big slight risk for flash flooding, hanging anywhere from northeast Texas all the way up there into the lower Ohio Valley, as anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rainfall is definitely looking likely across these areas, with isolated higher totals up to 4 being possible in this yellow color. And you can probably see that just to the north of that, we do have a little bit of a marginal risk even up here into parts there of northern Missouri, northern Kansas, southern Iowa, and even a little bit there of Illinois. But that's mainly because we're just going to have a little bit of isolated shower and maybe even a few thunderstorms up there. So we will need to be watching a lot of this area very closely, but we're not expecting any significant flooding today. Just isolated to scattered localized flooding is what we're expecting. But either way, you should not try to drive through those roadways, as some people don't even realize how deep they are, and it only takes about 5 5-6 inches of rainfall to sweep away a full-grown adult. So you should never try to even walk across flooded roadways and stuff like that, as it's more dangerous than you really think. And same goes as we get into tomorrow, as that site risk for flash flooding even continues over there in West Virginia, as we could be seeing the same situation. It's just that that site risk, or at least that flood risk, will now start to intensify over here out there to the west, meaning that we could then start to see flooding out there to the west, and there's nothing over here in the eastern or central United States during that time. So we will need to be watching even as we get into the beginning of next week very closely, as flooding does also look likely over here out there to the west. It's just going to be today and tomorrow where we're going to be watching for flooding out there in the east, as anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible, with isolated higher totals up to 4 definitely also looking possible. So make sure to be using extreme caution when driving on roadways, and instead of driving through flooded roadways, take your time, guys. Do not even risk driving through one flooded roadway. It's deeper than you think, and usually most times that cars drive through flooded roadways, they have to get rescued. So don't even try to risk it at all, guys. Do not. Now, let's now talk about how we could be seeing an early spring this year by going over our temperatures. And as you guys can see, we will continue to see warm air around as we get into the next couple of days, including as we even get into next week, where this warm air is just going to continue to stick around as long as it can. And look at that, all that warm air out there to the west is just going to continue to try to surge eastward. But look what happens as we get into Friday, February 7th. We start to see a pretty big setup for severe storms. Here's why. Look and see how there's this cutoff between the warm and as well as the cold air surging on in. We're going to be seeing warm, moist air surge on in from the Gulf of Mexico, with cold air coming in from right behind it. And when this happens, we usually see a pretty big area for severe storms, which is one of the reasons why we got to watch this area very closely, as I would not be surprised at all if not only we had an early spring, because we actually get these cold shots during the spring usually, and this is usually what causes the severe weather. So even though we may still cool down at times, we will still likely get an early spring, as overall it is expected to be warmer than normal, as you can see right there, as that warm air is just going to be lasting for quite some time. So definitely something to really be paying attention to as we head into the first half of our February, and I do expect it to even linger into the end of our February. It's just that is still a little far out, so things will likely shift around a little bit. But the least I can say, though, is that it does look like we will get an early spring this year, so don't be surprised at all if we end up seeing more severe weather, and you should be prepared for both cold shots and also warm shots, as that's typically what causes that severe storm threat. So make sure you are being on high alert out there, as this is definitely going to be a very stormy February, as both warm air and cold air will be battling out each other. Now, let's talk about the Climate Prediction Center outlook for the next few weeks. Starting off with the 6 to 10 day outlook, we are going to be tracking not only below average temperatures out there in the northern and northwest, but we'll also be tracking those above normal temperatures over here in the southern United States, especially from parts there of Arizona all the way back over there into the southeast, including the Four Corners region. That will be something to watch for as we get into the first 2 weeks of our February. And same goes as we get closer into the middle of February, where this warm air is going to continue to stick around, like I said, with that cold air surging on in front of it. And once again, that does bring the setup for severe storms, so we will need to be watching that very closely. And then with precipitation, I thought this was very interesting, where not only will we be seeing below average precipitation over there in the southern United States, but look at this, we'll be trending above normal, just like a normal La Nina, where we see above normal precipitation out there in the west and also the eastern United States. And we also see that across the Ohio Valley too as well, which will definitely bring a pretty big setup for severe storms, or at least gives us an idea that there will be severe storms. So we will need to be watching that very closely as we get into the next couple of weeks. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is going to be the future radar. I know I usually look at that at first, but we are mainly going over our temperatures and that stuff. So if we take a look at the future radar, you guys can see that we will be doing with rainfall down there from the Southern Plains all the way up there into the lower Ohio Valley as we get into the next few days, especially today. After that, we then see that roll on out and we start to see some clippers roll on through the northern United States and into the Great Lakes region, where I do think we could be seeing some more snow, possibly even some snow flurries by the time we get into Thursday, February 6th. After that, we then start to get more of these like little things of clippers rolling on through, and the latest from the year or the GFS ensemble is saying that we might have a little winter storm on going over here, but for my opinion, I don't think we're going to really be seeing any big time winter storms, as once again early spring definitely looking more likely than not. But we will keep an eye on it very closely, as we actually usually do see snow during the spring. It's just that it's not as significant, so we're not expecting any significant snow, but we could still be seeing snow at times, so we will still need to be watching it very, very closely. Now, the final things we're really going to look at is going to be your total snow and also your total rainfall. Starting off with your total rainfall, we are going to be tracking some well above normal precipitation over there in the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes region, and as well as down here towards the deep south especially, and same over there in the northwest. And then if we compare that to our snowfall, you guys can see how with our snowfall, we don't really see a ton of snowfall. It's mainly going to be the higher elevations and also the extreme northern Great Lakes to get the most out of it, while areas, let's say south of Lake Michigan, are more than likely going to stay on the drier side of things. So something to really keep an eye on very closely, as an early spring, once again, is definitely looking possible. It's just that it's still going to remain uncertain as we are still heading very far out. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's forecast. Consider subscribing to the channel, as we will continue to keep you guys up to date with the latest, and so that way we can try to reach our subscriber goal, which is to try to reach around 2,000 subscribers before spring. So consider subscribing, as we will do all that for you guys, and so that way you guys don't miss out on any future weather videos or live streams that we do on this channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up too as well. That would be much appreciated, and same with sharing this with any friends, family, or anyone who you guys know on social media. If you guys would please do that, that would be much appreciated, so that way we can help get the word out to everyone, and I definitely appreciate all that, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.